Good morning. Hello, welcome along. If you're new, hello, welcome to the channel. If you're not, thank you for coming along as always. We are back for another week of our Burnley live stream series. Every week we're trying to play through the season in a Youth Academy challenge and take this side, which we managed in a head coach and just couldn't bear to leave, and try and get them into Europe and competing for trophies. So thank you for everyone who's already waiting. That's probably a record this morning. So thank you for coming along. And we've already got questions and people in the comments. So if you are new along or you haven't already, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference. Helps people find us. And of course, any questions you've got, fire away. And we'll try and get through as many as possible. So a big question to kick off. What shocked you more this weekend? Danny Cowley getting sacked, Nigel Pearson getting sacked, or me not liking mint chocolate? I mean, let's be brutally honest. It could be any of them because they are all pretty much as shocking as each other. I guess I would put Watford last because although it was a huge shock in terms of him being sacked, for the club itself, they always sack managers. So that doesn't shock me at all, really, as much as it should. But the other two are very close. I mean, Danny Cowley or mint chocolate. I mean, because it's you and you can have your personal preference, I would say the Danny Cowley one is the worst because he came in with a remit which must have been to save Huddersfield from relegation when they were pretty much adrift, a bit like Nigel Pearson at Watford. But in Danny Cowley's case, he'd actually done it with a game to spare. And now they're talking about a change of direction. That is absolute rubbish, I'm sorry. So, yeah, the Huddersfield one for me tops the tree. So hopefully today we will get through to the end of the season. If it's close, we might leave it and just do a special one-off video for the last game of the season later at the week. Because Sunday we don't have any FM content. So we'll see how we get on, but I'm tempted that we may well go and do that as well. So, yes, hopefully we'll finish the season today. But if it is right on a knife edge for the final game, we will leave it. And L Gaming, that is the correct answer. Mint chocolate is a good thing. So thank you for being sensible, if nothing else. That's what we like to see. Good morning to everyone who's new along. Please do put a thumbs up on it. Thank you for coming along so early. I know it's school, college and university holidays again now. Not that you're back for long, so hopefully there'll be a few people who wouldn't normally be able to get along for these. So we're getting to the first game away at City, which is probably one of the toughest we're going to face today. We've got a couple of real awful games to play. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to get on. Manchester City up in third. Look at that title race. 2 points separating the top four. We're basically, as we mentioned at the end of the last episode, in a league of our own. We can't catch the top five. And I'd like to hope that West Ham, Leicester and Chelsea can't catch us. But we know with Chelsea's resources, they could go on a run. And of course, in an alternate universe of this save, I'm now managing them in the head coach. So on the right-hand side, who are we going to bring in? I think we might have to go for Vaughan and then bring in a central midfielder, which is what we're going to do. How did Wardley play last time? Is it time for Ruthven yet? No, we won 4-1, so we better give him another game. And then onto the bench, Ashley Harrott's back, so he can come in. Richards will drop out. I think that's what we're going to go for. I would have put Lowry in on the right and then put Balogun up front. But given where we are and given the fact we're going to City, I don't want to risk that. So let's get into it with that 11. And hopefully, in our final few games, we'll be able to get some good results. Well, I tell you what, the problem that caused this debate with Charlie was, unfortunately, the now defunct Mint Whisper, which caused quite a debate on social media, I can assure you. So I would definitely pick that one. But yes, Mint Aero's brilliant as well. In we go then. 4-2-3-1 for City. We've got Phil Foden in the number 10 and Lautaro Martinez up front. So two good real players there. But the back five, it's all young players. It's all regens. Is that Ruben Diaz? It is. So they must be resting a few. Bernardo Silva's on the bench as well. He must be getting on now. He's largely coming off the bench. And do you know what? Let's ask the lads to pick up where they left off. We got that morale boosting 4-1 win against Villa last time out before we finished. So let's see if we can pick up from that point today. Away to City's a much tougher test because Aston Villa down in a relegation scrap. Not unlike real life, of course. But for us, a good first 10 minutes and we've had the only shot of the game. So good morning to everyone who's coming along. Thank you for joining in. Craig, Mint Air, amazing. Spot on, son. England got a good win yesterday in the cricket. Ben Stokes, what are your thoughts? Yeah, they were brilliant. The last day was... It suits our England side because probably from the middle order down, it's a T20 side, isn't it? Or a one-day side. As we fall behind And it's a simple set piece as well, which is all the more frustrating. But yeah, it suited our lads down to the ground because it was basically a one-day international. So they played a T20 innings with the bat and then a one-day international innings with the ball. And it worked down to a T, so fair enough. I do worry a little bit about the third test. I'm not sure they found the right batting combination yet. Bowling combination, sorry. The batting order looked a lot better in the first innings. And obviously Crawley didn't get a score, which he will in future tests. So that's something we've got to be pleased with. But in terms of the bowling lineup, I'm not sure. I don't think Jofra Archer will come back in, because I think they'll be proving a point in the third test. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Anderson came in for Wokes. Anderson, Broad, and going back to the olden days, really. Vaughan scores from a header. We've gone 1-1 there. Sorry, I was completely baffled by that. Where on earth did that come from? Edmund swings it in and Vaughan on the right puts it in. It's a brilliant finish. But then the other thing with the cricket is, do they have to put an extra bowler in if Stokes can't bowl? That's the problem. So I actually agree with you. I'm going, Broad shouldn't have been dropped for the first one. I said at the time I thought he'd be the one to miss out. And to be honest, that was wrong because he shouldn't have. Mark Wood didn't really take his chance, which is a bit of a shame. But other than that, we can't complain. It was a good performance. Craig, thoughts on grassroots having to play friendlies behind closed doors? Do you know what? I'm glad it's back. I'm glad they can prepare for the season. In terms of the friendlies, I don't think behind closed doors. I know it's a shame for the bars and the social side, but well, actually, that's the question I wanted to ask, really. So, like, I know for you at Crawley Green, in terms of you can't go and watch around the pitch, for example. Not that I don't know how you can police that, but then the bars are open, so you can open the social club. You can sit in the bar and have the window view of the pitch. So for me, I'll still be able to come and watch the games. Is that correct understanding of it? But for me, either way, it's good that you can now prepare for the season. And then obviously they've announced that by the time the season starts, you can attend football with social distancing. So for me going to watch you guys at Crawley, that's pretty easy. So no problem at all. I'm delighted with that. The Matchday vlogs will be back on the podcast channel sooner rather than later. Carl, welcome along. Good morning. Good to see you here again. I'm well behind on the chat today. Sorry, there's so many messages. It's brilliant to see. Moved to Dundee from Real and won a championship and just won a Premier on goals against Celtic. Back to the Champions League, but fancy going across to Holland. Jeez. I tell you what, that's some journey when you've built there. I was thinking next season, you've put me onto a good point here, actually. That's brilliant, winning the league with Dundee. I was thinking about doing, as City go ahead again, Martinez is just skinned the whole defence. I was thinking about doing the hardest challenge in Football Manager, either next year or the year after, which is FC Vaduz in Liechtenstein. And Tom will like this one. I can see he's in the chat down below. Because they play in the Swiss League Pyramid. They can't qualify for the Champions League domestically, but they can win the Liechtenstein Cup, qualify for the Europa League, and then win the Europa League to get into the Champions League. So it's probably the hardest challenge you could have. But they're playing in a decent league system in Switzerland, so it makes it a little bit easier to sign players. So it's not then impossible. Probably a bit like the old San Marino challenge where they're playing in Italy. So that's something I was definitely looking at. But obviously for the club side, it's then harder to keep a place in the Champions League, which is probably the biggest challenge. As Jack Vaughan has scored a second header of the day. Where on earth these are coming from, I don't know. It's been a bizarre game. Normally City are really fluent, but here they have just been end-to-end stuff. It's been really strange. But either way, it's all looking good so far, so let's not get too worried. It's hello on the left-hand side. I will get back to the chat in a second. I'm just waiting for a highlight to end so I can make some subs. You all probably know the superstition by now. Flauhaus got the ball at the back, and it's looking a bit risky here. Simpson, oh, I don't like what's going on there. They're just passing it between themselves, and then they give the ball away when they go long. Into the box, this is going to be 4. Definitely going to be 4. It's been too long a highlight. Although Bonner's won it back. Clears downfield. It's still not really away. Paulo on the left to Bernardo Silva. Barrow out to Paulo again. When is it going to end? It's got to end in a goal because it's just been too long. And there you go. It does end in a goal. It's getting a little bit too predictable for my liking. Phil Richards will come on in central midfield. What other youngsters have we got? Wardley will be replaced at left back by Ruthven. And I'd like to get Mullen on for his debut. Harrett's just back from injury, so Mullen can make his Premier League debut. Let's have a look. Elgame, Butler should be gone from the test side. Could not agree more. I mean, that's always been my point. I would take one of two things with Butler. Either you do what you did in this innings, but let him have a proper sustained go at it in normal test matches, which is as an opener, because it's been traditionally a problem for England. I'm still not completely convinced by Rory Burns. His mentality is very good. It's a test batsman mentality, but technically he has a lot of flaws. So I'm not sure about that one. I mean, Dom Sibley long term is a solution. Zach Crawley in the top order is a solution. I think Ollie Pope will be a regular long term. So we'll wait and see that. But yeah, I think Butler either needs to be near the top of the order or out. Or maybe like Moeen Ali used to be. He was number 8. As I tell you what, it's 4-3. Edmonds has scored as well. This is absolutely crazy, this game. Where on earth has it come from? I mean, I don't know how we're competing with this level. It's a good sign for the future, but it's definitely competing. But yeah, Butler maybe go down to number 8 like Ali did, and he used to just come out and bat against them. The same as Bairstow as well. Occasionally when they were 8, they just came out and let the bat fly. But for a batsman of Butler's quality, there's a lot of discipline issues in terms of test match cricket. Craig Yale was in the FA guidelines, which make no sense considering they can be socially distant. Yeah, well, to be honest, mate, it probably benefits you as a club, particularly the way you're laid out, because we can go in the bar, get a drink and sit against the window, which means that you're getting more money than if we were standing on the sideline. So, I mean, for a club like Crawley, it works. Local parks are fine. We'll just claim it's public ground. But as long as it's done by the season, which is the main thing, you'll be able to go back to relative normality for you. And you might even have 5 or 10 more fans there than you would normally. My dad manages my brother's grassroots team. Yeah, see, grassroots football is the bit that gets forgotten here. It's the most important bit. It's the bit that most people watch, play and enjoy, you know. There's away from the Premier League, it's where live football and the social side and the exercise side are all forgotten. Tom, the Windies will need to rest players so they'll be weakened. I hope so. I think that England will be favourites now, having won it, and particularly the way they won it. But as we all know, and have seen over probably a decade now, probably, to be honest, since Strauss retired, and it wasn't Strauss and Cook as the openers, probably since then, we've always been susceptible to a batting collapse because we don't have a stayer. And I know Ben Stokes, to be fair to him, is starting to become that. But quite often he's left in a position where he has to be more aggressive. And that's only going to harm him. So Carl, why can't they qualify for the Champions League? So because they're a club from Liechtenstein playing in Switzerland, Liechtenstein don't have a league system. So they don't get any Champions League places allocated because there's no way to decide it. So they get one Europa League place, which is for the winner of the Liechtenstein Cup, which is what Vaduz can win to get into it. And then Vaduz, in the Swiss League pyramid, because they're from Liechtenstein, the agreement is they can't qualify for the Champions League via their league position in Switzerland. That's my understanding. But because there's no league, there's no allocation of places. There's just the one Europa League one for the Cup. We need to go Google their ground. I know Tom wants to go to FC Vaduz to watch the football. There's a lovely like mountain and hills in the background. What's the best final day moment from the Championship you've ever seen, Craig? I mean, I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I'd probably have to say the recent one, the Newcastle-Brighton final day, where it turned around on the last day. Because that was literally the last few minutes, wasn't it? But I've got a feeling history might be rewritten tomorrow. I know we've done our predictions over on the podcast channel, and we've already had a few complainers for our predictions. But last week, I just want to point out, I did say Stoke would beat Brentford 1-0. I said West Brom would drop points. And they both did. And Charlie, to be fair to him, said that Barnsley would beat Forest, and they did. So, we're not just making it up. We do check before we do these. L Gaming, the side I'd go for in the second test, Burns, Sibley, Crawley, Root, Stokes and Pope. Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I'd probably go for Ben Folkes as the wicket-keeper, to be brutally honest. Because he's probably underrated. And in terms of batting, and to be honest, I don't actually know what Bairstow did wrong. I think he's been better than Butler. And he's got a proven test career. He's got the right mentality. So I'd probably go for... I mean, I know he's not in the squad for this series. I'd give Folkes a go in a third. But I'd probably bring Bairstow back in as my keeper longer term. And then Anderson, Broad, Bess and Archer. So that's the issue, isn't it? If Stokes is fit, we won't need Archer. But then Wokes played alright. And he's a better batsman than any of the other bowlers. So bearing in mind, if there's a fitness concern over Stokes, the wicketkeeper, if it's Butler, isn't scoring runs. I could understand why they would play Wokes instead. And I think they probably want to prove a point with Archer. So I don't know that he'll play. But yeah, Stokes and Sibley were brilliant. First innings partnership was amazing. And Stokes wasn't much worse in the second. Luton won 1-0, yes. It is so tight at the bottom. So as it stands, Hull are bottom on 45 because we beat them. Barnsley are on 46 because they beat Forest in the last minute, which means that they're now in the hunt for survival. Hull are playing against Cardiff, who need to win or need to get a point to get into the playoffs at the expense of their local rival Swansea. I tell you what, if he was 18, I'd be signing him. That kid is unbelievable. We've got Barnsley or our second bottom on 46. Wigan, after their points deduction, even though they're 13th now, will drop on to 46. And the EFL have confirmed they'll get it at the end of the match. And then we're on 48, but have the worst goal difference in the league. And then it's Charlton on 48 with a better goal difference. And they're away to Leeds, which is the hardest one to predict because Leeds could have been on a booze bender for 3 days, or they could want to go out in style. One of the two things. And I forgot to mention as well that Wigan are playing Fulham, who, because of West Brom and Brentford both losing, can now get into second place if they win on the final day. So there is so much going on. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that that's happening on the last day of the season. And to be fair, for Luton and Barnsley, we were 6 and 7 points adrift. For us to be in it and for Luton to be in our hands going into the last day is incredible. We've got a mid-table team in Blackburn, but they were in a thriller at the weekend, so that's going to be very difficult. Elgain, have you checked the England under-18s? I haven't, because I would deem that cheating in my series. So I would only do players that we've scouted still. So I still won't use the player search screen or look around. For the England under-18s, I may well say, oh, let's go and watch an international. But I don't know. Well, let me know what you think. Would it be cheating to go to the England under-18s and just look to bid for their best players? Let me know your thoughts. George Smith, welcome along. Nice to see a new face in the chat. Thanks for coming along this morning. Do appreciate it. If you are new along, the number of viewers is brilliant this morning. Please do put a thumbs up on it. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be able to get to the end of the season in pretty good form here. The only problem near the end of the Premier League season is you have a week between all the games, which is great fitness-wise, but it means it takes a bit longer to get through. So unfortunately for me, Carl, for Wednesday to Friday, I work all day, so I'm flat out then, unfortunately. Otherwise I would, because the evenings would definitely obviously get more viewers, and it would be a more ideal time for most. And to be honest, I know with the Luton game, because the streams are on iFollow now, and the iFollow streams take up basically all of the internet connection, so I will try my best to... We're looking at live streaming on the podcast in the future. But on here, in terms of football, probably not. I'd consider next season doing things, if we're allowed back in the ground, like match reports from Luton games and that. Just to give opinion and reflect on the games, because we go to most home and away. Callum Bonner's got a knock, so we're going to have without a right back for the next one. We've got a few of the youngsters we've been scouting here. So I know it's not quite the same. I'm just looking for a green recommendation, which we've got here. So Jeremy Dixon from Chelsea. Poor personality, but he's got potential. So I tell you what, we'll give him a go. We'll see if we can get him on a deal. He doesn't want too much in terms of his contract. And you'll have to bear with me, because unfortunately, I'm a man and I can't multitask. I can't read the chat and do this. So give me 1 minute and I'll be back with your messages. 1.6, I mean, he's going to negotiate this, but we have to try our best to get it down. And to be honest, I think we've done a pretty good job there. If he goes down that far, I think we've nailed that. 1.7 grand a week, it's worth a gamble in my book. The only one with a rating above a 60, but it's better than none. Let's keep going through the comments. Thoughts on the FA Cup semis? I mean, Arsenal were unbelievable. And the thing I liked most about it, if I'm being honest, was the post-match interview with David Luiz. Because I've said this before, he gets too much stick. He's such a good personality. It's so clear to see why he succeeds. He doesn't suit a back four. We all know that. And when he has to play in a back four, he struggles. But Arsenal going forward, I'm almost certain now, will play a back three in almost all games. And in the Europa League, if they play a back four, could he potentially play in the holding role? I don't know, because he's done it before for Chelsea. But in the middle of the back three, with young players alongside him, he's such a good leader. So for me, I would always say he's underrated. El Gaming don't think it's cheating. We'll get the general consensus there, because I'm not quite sure overall. New to the stream, never catch them but off work today. Ah, fantastic. So yeah, I can only apologise. It's a slightly inconvenient time to do streams. Inconvenient even. Can't get the words out this morning. But Tuesday's my only day off work. So Tuesday morning for me is my only opportunity to stream really. And then the afternoon is where I probably, Monday morning and Tuesday afternoon, I record most of my videos for the week. El Gaming, I don't think you can show the game, but you can commentate. Yes, so you can't show the physical screen of the match, but you could, so I could get my phone out, for example, and just point it at my face and say, this is what's going on. So there's a couple of others that were doing that at the weekend for the Cup semi-finals, but we'd rather, I get a bit lost in the emotion of the game, so you just have me sitting there for 4 minutes staring at the screen when there's an attack or a row of corners or whatever. So I don't know that it'd be great viewing, to be brutally honest. Tom, if David Luiz had a sensible haircut, would he get the stick he does? That's a very good question, actually. I don't know the answer to that. I reckon part of it is because he looks like he's crazy. And actually, to be brutally honest, I look at this season and I think, David Luiz, has he made any more mistakes than someone like David De Gea? And I know the answer to that's no. And actually, last season, the answer to that was no as well. And I know David De Gea internationally has had an exceptional spell, but as a first choice goalkeeper, he's not won any more than David Luiz. David Luiz has won a Champions League, Premier League, pretty much everything else in between as well. He's played for big clubs, he's played in World Cup semis, and I don't know, to be honest. I feel like he gets harshly treated because he doesn't make more than certain people. I really don't think he does. There's even someone like, you see at the weekend, when Harry Maguire had a shocker, and Victor Lindelof alongside him wasn't great either, and they were both getting not a great deal of stick. I know Maguire got a bit from the United fans after, but I mean generally across the media, I don't think they really did. And I mean the City defence this season, some of the City defenders made it. John Stones, for example, I know he's not played much recently, but there's a reason for that. And he's made lots of mistakes, but no one really mentions it. Is it because David Luiz isn't English? Is it because he's got a crazy haircut? Is it because... And the thing that got me is when he, after that first City game, where he came out and said, I'm sorry, it was my fault, and he got stick for that. I said, there's not many players that would do that. That was probably the moment where actually there was an hour debate on Talk Sport the day after. I was listening to it at work, and I was saying there's no way he should get a new deal. He's the wrong character. And I said the fact he's come out and given that interview after is the moment I'd be saying, yes, you should be getting a new deal, to be brutally honest. But that's my opinion. I won't press it on other people. Let's get some people in the under-18s. Now we've only got the one game a week. And Sunday Balogun, I mean, I've got a bit of a catch-22 here. I need to get him back in the first team to keep his value up. So that clubs in the summer bid big money for him. But if we do, Leon Lowry misses out. Tom Stones is linked with Arsenal. I mean, what I want to know is that concrete speculation, or is it literally just because the tabloid media have gone, oh, Arteta worked at City, John Stones played for City, John Stones is a footballing defender, Arteta wants to play football, let's put 4 and 4 together and make 600, you know. That's what I want to know on that one. It wouldn't shock me, I'm not saying it would, but I'm not convinced it's actually concrete speculation. I think it's just a random lazy rumour at the moment. Pope should be England number 1. Possibly. To me, I think unfortunately for Pope, Dean Henderson will overtake him before he gets a chance. Because next year, the weekend has confirmed one thing. I said it at the time. Dean Henderson will be United's number 1 next year. And if he has a good season, it'll be England number 1. Because we all know the old school way of United and England. If you play for a Big 6 club and you play regularly, you've got a chance for England. It's as simple as that. So, unfortunately, I think he might miss out. But he's a really good goalkeeper. And what worries me is the talk of Sean Dyche leaving Burnley, because they will go down next year if he leaves, unless they get a very good replacement. Where Sean Dyche will go, I don't know, because he deserves a big job. But again, he's another one of those who's got a reputation, which means he won't get it. But if you look at the Premier League the last 5 years, I'd argue there's not really many people who consistently have done as good a job than him. So that's the only issue I have. But then will Pope end up at Chelsea? It's been a constant rumour all year, hasn't it? But Kepa seems to have resolved some of his issues recently. So I'm just trying to find out if I can get someone in for Ossie Robinson. I'm trying to start that sort of progression towards a team that will be homegrown for next season. But I'm not sure what the best option is in there. So I think I might have to stick with it. Or do we go for Richards? Let's just get him in there. There it is. So we've changed 2 of the back 4. Furlong's in for what may be his last start for the club. And Fabio's in at centre-half, Ruffin in at left-back. There's plenty of chances for those to go wrong. Henderson should be number 1 for me. Yeah, I think... I don't know that on current form, I think Pope and Henderson are very close. But because Pope is... Henderson's younger, because he will be playing at United by the time the next England games come around, those 2 things added together would suggest that he will be number 1. If it was me, I'd probably, if there was an England game this summer, I would put Nick Pope in goal. And I think that's where he's been unfortunate. Because by October, I think it will then be Henderson. Yeah, I agree with you, Elgavan. At the moment, as it stands, it should be Pope instead of Pickford. But Pope isn't traditionally great with his feet. And of course, that's one of the key things now in the way England are trying to play. As Edmonds is coming forward here, into Leon Lowry. Edmonds again running off him. We've got a great chance here. There's 5 in the box. One of them's Vaughan. He scored 2 headers the last game, but he's put that one over. It's a good start, though. We look really promising here. We're trying to take the front foot here. Normally I drop to balanced or whatever else, but I'm just trying to push against these sides. And looking at the table and how Leicester and Chelsea are doing, that might be a risk I shouldn't have taken. Because if we lose 2 or 3 in a row, and the morale goes down before we play the smaller sides, we could be in a bit of trouble. So we need a point today at least. Also, I remember last week, do you want to make this week or the next one? Probably the next one. So I've actually got I've got Friday off work, so I'm going to go through and try and start it then. But I've done a little bit of research. I don't know if it's made it more or less daunting, but we'll get there. Yes, El Gaming. So the question that I didn't answer last week is you asked what was my favourite 11 if I had to pick one, which I will do today as we gradually go through the morning. I don't know, record viewers, I don't know, maybe at 11 o'clock, because obviously if people are off school, college, uni for the first time, I would expect them to be making the most of getting a lie in. So there were definitely more people waiting this morning. Obviously the chat's very active and hopefully we'll get a few more in. And over the summer, normally you would, but for me, this is anniversary week, isn't it? It's the 10th live stream on the channel. So 7th in this series, 3 transfer windows before. And so far, so good. So thank you everyone for watching along. And if you are enjoying it, please do put a thumbs up on it. Come and get involved down in the chat. And I will now gradually start working through my favourite 11. So this is the key to say. Not the best 11. I'll do that later if we've got time. But my favourite 11. And I can warn you now, it will feature a large number of Luton players. So we're going to ask the lads to get revenge. But still 0-0. Pretty good outcome so far, to be pretty honest. So let's go through favourite 11. And I was trying to think of keeper, which is probably the hardest one. So we've got a couple of candidates. One from Luton, which is Mark Tyler, because he was always someone that was brilliant for us in the National League. My second option from Luton is Conrad Logan, and those who watch penalty shootouts in the Johnston Paint Trophy run will know why I've said him, even though otherwise I don't know much about his career apart from going to Scotland. I'm trying to think. In terms of Premier League, the first goalkeeper I really enjoyed watching was Carlo Cudicini. And then I love the likes of Brad Friedland, that who just played for years and years. Shay Given was a brilliant one as well. So goalkeeper's actually one of the hardest positions. As Leon Lowry's given us the lead there, he is turning into an absolute steal at Premier League level. George, what did you think of the Bellingham transfer? It's a brilliant move for him. I'm glad that he picked Dortmund over a sort of United, Chelsea, top 6 English side, let's say. Obviously, he was in my head coach series when I joined Chelsea and then left about a week later. But I'm really glad he went to Dortmund. He'll be playing next season. I love watching the Bundesliga. It's one of my favourite leagues. So I'll be keeping up to date with it. But yeah, I think he's going to be a superstar there. Hopefully, he'll still have Sancho as a teammate. Because I don't think, given the current situation, any of the British sides can afford to sign him without selling. And maybe that's the sort of thing that will keep Sancho there. But Bellingham, yeah, what a player. As we've gone 2-0 up with Edmonds, with 5 minutes to go, we'll make some more changes. Let's get youngsters on. Mullen on for Harrott, who's still building his fitness. Richards has done alright in that Mazzala role, actually, to be fair. We'll bring on Vinicius in the middle. For Vinicius Xavier. Bit of a tongue twister there. And Carl Whitehouse is on the bench, so let's bring him on as well. He can come on for Owen Edmonds, who's struggling physically and just scored that second goal. So there we go. But yeah, I think the Bellingham transfer is a good one. Obviously, thanks to Wigan's points deduction, you haven't got to worry tomorrow, have you? Because otherwise, that was getting a bit tense for Birmingham. The whole Pep Clotet situation, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast a couple of times. It's really weird. The fact that he was announced to be leaving and then carried on. It was never going to work, and it was proven the case. And then to dispense with him as they had and not really have a replacement ready, they've had enough time to find one, so I'm not sure. But it seems like you're getting Aitor Karanka, seems to be the main news, as we've picked up a brilliant win there against Liverpool. 2-0, and that surely wraps up European football for us. Leicester were held by Brentford. Where are Chelsea? They're playing tomorrow then, but we're 10 clear of them. They've got a game in hand, so it'll be 7 at a minimum with 5 games left. Have we still got Chelsea as well? I think we have. No. So we've got Arsenal away, which is difficult, and then a couple of easier games on paper. So surely we'll be able to get a couple of wins. And then we've just got to hope that 6th is enough. And that it can be a nice breeze to the end of the season. We'll probably need to keep an eye on the cups and that as well, just to make sure that it's not teams below us winning. So yes, favourite 11 in goal. Oh, probably. It's between Tyler and Cudicini, if I'm honest. I'm thinking about my younger self and my Luton fan self. So we'll leave it between those two. They're very different levels. Right back. So I wanted to say Kevin Foley, because obviously he was coming through at Luton when I was growing to watch them. And then he went on and played for Ireland, played in the Premier League loads, was a really good fullback. So I'd probably go for him. So let's do the favourite 11 then. We'll go for Cudicini in goal. We'll go for Foley at right back. Any area where I'm not sure, I'll go for the non-Luton option. Left back. Now this is where it's hard, because I mean, left back I wasn't really a massive fan of Sol Davis, even though Luton fans absolutely loved him. I'm trying to think more recently. We had a player for a couple of years, Scott Griffiths. And he used to be an on-running joke that he got man of the match every single game. We won a game 7-0 in the conference where Andre Gray scored a hat-trick. And Scott Griffiths, the left-back, got man of the match. They just kept doing it every week. And there was just a year spell where he was absolutely remarkable. But I don't know if I can go for him just based on that. I'm trying to leave out the current Luton side. It would be easy to put James Justin in, obviously from Luton going to Leicester. But I think I'll probably stick with Scott Griffiths as a Luton fan. At centre-half, oh, we've got another one here. 18-year-old winger. When's his birthday? February the 15th. So we can sign him. What's his potential? 4-star. And what's his position? Right winger, inside forward. I mean, any of these lads now, where they're cheap, we might as well gamble. So 625 grand, and we'll just do it. He'll still be 18 in the summer. He'll become homegrown at the club, and that's all we can ask. 24 years. They're all a bit old. He's 17, and again has the same potential. He's a striker who can't finish. You all know my opinions on that. Centre-half, the first one in has to be Chris Coyne. Chris Coyne is definitely centre-half, because as a Luton fan, he was brilliant for us. And the second one is even easier as a Luton fan. It has to be Steve McNulty. And if any of you haven't been introduced to him in the footballing world, then just go and search him afterwards. I mentioned him last week, one of the best goals I'd ever seen live. And for his appearance, what you think he's going to be, technically he's a really good defender. I'm going to remember this time that we need to offer 8 grand a week to be able to play these kids. So 8,000 a week. The rest of it, hopefully we can try and push down as a result. But yeah, Steve McNulty would probably even captain the side as well. Such a hero for us. Did the same for Tranmere afterwards. Got us out of the National League. Got 2 promotions in a row at Tranmere. And now on the verge of one at York as well. So he's definitely an inspirational leader, if nothing else. Into midfield, and I haven't really worked out what tactic I'm going to go for yet. I've got a couple of options written down. And I'm sorry, Tom, despite that goal, Claude Mccollady's not going in. So into midfield, thank you for everyone who's coming along as well. If you are new along, please do put a thumbs up on it. Come and get involved in the chat. We're going through my favourite 11 of all time at the moment. Yes, so L Gaming, yes, Steve McNulty, he played for Luton. He got us promoted from the National League to League 2. And then that season he went back up north to home and he went to Tranmere. Got them promoted from the National League to League 2, from League 2 to League 1. Then went to York this season in the National League North, and they're now in the playoff semi-final. They would have probably won the league if it wasn't for points per game. So into midfield, the first one might be a bit of a surprise, but it's a shoo-in, is Claude Mccollady, who to me is one of the best central midfielders, the most disciplined players to play the game. I absolutely loved watching him play. Growing up for me, as someone, I didn't have anywhere near the ability to make it, but I had the mentality and the discipline, and I used to love the fact that he made a career on being a brilliant footballer, but also having that expert discipline. I loved it. So Claude Mccollady in the holding role. I guess that means I've got to go 4-3-3. So in midfield, we will have, and I'm trying to think of my favourite Luton ones, because there's a few that are pretty heroic in our lifetime. So there's the like of Kevin Nichols, who I'm not going to put in. Matty Spring, probably not. Steve Robinson, now the Motherwell manager, the Northern Ireland International, he was brilliant. I really like the way he played as well. And more recently, we've got Pelly Ruddock, who's got 3 promotions with us, who's gone through the leagues from National League to the Championship. Is still starring for us. I really don't know where to go with central midfield. I have to put Pelly in there because he's been at the club for 7 years and he's provided so many brilliant moments. The second one, I'm tempted by Steve Robinson. I really am. But I don't know if he's the right option for us. I mean, we had a string of rubbish central midfielders for a long time. I quite liked Alice Lawless, but he's not good enough for this. I could, based on the podcast interviews, go for Anthony Sarsovich, because what a bloke he was. Player of the season at Plymouth, and he's gone to Bolton. But I haven't seen him live in the flesh enough. Those 2 youngsters have both agreed to join this summer. So I think I'd probably go play it safe with Steve Robinson. But there are plenty of midfielders. I mean, Alessandro Diamanti. I absolutely love watching him as well. Not Richard Langley, Craig. Not in a million years. Central midfield, Dave Edwards. No, I'm not a big Dave Edwards fan. The fact that he left us after 6 months, it's very hard for me to pick him. I'm just trying to think if there's any Premier League central midfielders I absolutely adored during that time. I always liked watching Scholes. I love Xavi, but he'd probably go my best one rather than my favourite one. So I think I'd either go safe with Steve Robinson, or I'd probably go for... Craig's just come in and won the day. Alan McCormack, you're going in. How on earth did I not get him in there? Same sort of thing, isn't it? 2 promotions in a row with Luton, and then 1 this season again with Northampton. 3 in a row. Oh, Tom Huddleston. You're all reminding me of the names I've forgotten. So who am I taking out then? Do you know what? I know it's harsh on Pelly Ruddock, but I might have to take him out. We're going for a midfield 3 of Mccollady, Huddleston and Alan McCormack. And Pelly is the closest one and the saddest to miss out. Greeny, no chance, Barry Ferguson. On the wings, that's probably harder, or attacking midfield or up front, depending on how we go. I know, I'm sorry, Craig. I'm a bit ashamed of myself for that. So up front, I know he doesn't suit playing up front on his own, but one of that front 3 is going to be Gianfranco Zola, regardless. I don't care how he fits in the team, how it works, he will play. If I've got a chance to put him on the pitch, he'll be there. So Zola's up there. Steve Howard would probably be one for me, thinking about it. I'm trying to think wingers now. I mean, after Saturday, I could very easily pick Kazenga Loa. So Steven Gerrard's a good player, but he's not one of my favourites, so I wouldn't put him in that. But best player live, perhaps he could go in that team. I don't know if the other winger... I mean, I'd be tempted still to go for Alessandro Diamanti, because on his day, live in the flesh, he was absolutely incredible. So there you go. Let's get the Italian job in on the front 3. Diamanti, Zola, Steve Howard. You're not getting a better front 3 than that out of me. That's my favourite. Stuart Douglas was my favourite player when I started watching Luton, so he was a close call as well, but again, didn't stick around for long enough. So let me go back and get with all the messages I've missed. So, I'm looking at your Wrexham 11 L game, and I'm just seeing how many I recognise. James Jennings, he's just gone to Stockport, hasn't he? Him and his brother, Connor, because he left Tranmere, his brother. Luke Summerfield, he's a very good player. And Sean Pearson, I recognise. Manny Smith, yeah. Lainton, is that Rob Lainton in goal? The old Bolton youth player. And Kevin Roberts. Actually, I recognise more of that team than I thought. Chris Holroyd, yeah, blimey. There's some good players there. Is that Hooper? Is that JJ Hooper? Because that's the only Hooper I've heard of up front. So I'll tell you what, El Gaming, I'll come back to that idea in a minute that you've just written, because there's a couple of other notes to make on that. Green, good morning. Thank you for coming along. Appreciate it. I know you're normally at work in the school term on a Tuesday morning, so good to have you along for hopefully the next 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, I'm really disappointed in myself for missing out McCormack and Huddleston. I've had my day saved there. Green, Gerrard's the best manager you've seen live. Oh, you haven't seen much football then, mate, have you, with respect? Played in defence for Brentford Regions. I mean, I'm not getting into that debate again. We know you better than you know yourself. To be honest, mate, on the spot it's a lot harder. But that's why you guys are here, because you're wonderful enough to help me out when I completely forget who my favourite players are. And actually, I'll be honest, I sat and wrote a list for half an hour, and I forgot to put Tom Huddleston in there. Alan McCormack was on my list. I didn't look in my notes, though, but Tom Huddleston I didn't even have in there, which I should almost be ashamed of. And I've watched him live this season as well. I mean, it's even worse. Lloyd Owusu, no thank you. Yeah, so Rob Layton and JJ Hooper. You've got a lot of players there who came through at Bolton. Is that some sort of coincidence? Because you're not local, really. There's a lot of players that have been at Bolton in there. But oh well. Lloyd Owusu was a brief and not great option for Luton, in my opinion. No Danny Welbeck. So yeah, Craig, we're not going to have this debate again. But Danny Welbeck, and I'm going to stick to this statement, off the ball, making runs, drawing players away, is one of the best footballers in the world. He's one of the best at that. The problem, unfortunately, most of the time is when he gets the ball, he's probably a mid-table, lower league, Premier League player. So that's the unfortunate bit. But off the ball, I maintain that live in the flesh, I've not seen many people who make better runs than him, who draw defenders away better. But of course, there is a lack in technical ability at places. But then he scored an over a kick the other week, didn't he? So, I mean, he didn't really connect with it well, and it was lucky to go in the top corner. But aside from that, and I've just realised I've made a bit of a grave error here, because we've got to the Arsenal game and I've left all of the youngsters playing in the reserves, and now I haven't got a fit right winger. So Callum Bonner will come in at right back. Furlong will come on the bench. But what on earth am I going to do on the wing? I'm going to have to play Jack Vaughan injured. What's his injury? He's got a bruised thigh, so it's only a bruise. That's all right. Well, that's the 11 then. I can't change it. Into the match we go. Let's see if we can get another result. What about Michael Higdon? So I'll be honest with you, Green. I do like strikers like that. The likes of probably Higdon, Danny Kedwell. I'm trying to think of others. Matt Reed, who scored for Bournemouth the other day. I love those because they're the sort of strikers that give us hope. You see them play and you think, I could do that. That's my level of fitness. That's my speed. But they hold the ball up. They play intelligently and they're an asset to sides. So you've got to give them that. Into the first half we go. We've got a very long tunnel interview. And hopefully against Arsenal, we can get a similarly good score. But they're 1 point off Tottenham at the top of the league. I mean, that is going to be very tense at the end. We'll keep an eye on the stats and we may drop to balanced if we need to. My favourite out then is Holdroyd. Chris Holdroyd's a brilliant player. As Arsenal have got the lead, we're going to have to drop to balance because it's been all Arsenal so far. We'll demand a bit more, but unfortunately, this one's probably a game too far. Welbeck's goal at Old Trafford in the Cup. Yeah, see? I mean, Danny Welbeck, he's a good footballer. I'm sorry. He does get a bad nick for it. Edmonds in. Oh, I should have been 1-1 there. Dragowski in goal for Arsenal, stopping a day. Are there any real players left at Arsenal? Oh, look, Kieran Tierney's still in there at left back. 32 years of age now. 105 caps for Scotland. 331 appearances for Arsenal. You'd probably take that, wouldn't you? Let's see what he's won in his time. Competitions. So he's won a Carabao Cup, a European Super Cup, a Europa League, a European Super Cup again, a Europa League again. Well, I tell you what, Tom, you might like next season. According to this, Arsenal are going to win the FA Cup, the Europa League, and then the European Super Cup as well. I'm sure you'd take that at the end of next season. The problem you've got then is 3 years later you win a Europa League and a Carabao Cup and nothing else after that. So that might make it a bit difficult. But I'm sure Arteta's not here there. They've got Chris Mepham centre-half as well. The young Welsh lad. I'm sure he was at Brentford. I think he's gone... Did he go to a Premier League side? Bournemouth was it he went to? Well, not for long, obviously. He might be swapping leagues. Maybe Brentford will sign him back. Arsenal forward again. I mean, they look far better than us. Arsenal look like the best side we've played today. And you can see why they're above City and Liverpool. Yeah, I think he's a future Arsenal captain as well. He's such a good player. He's got the right mentality, as we discussed last week. Please don't swear live, Cody. I didn't, did I? I don't think I did. Apologies if I did. I'm sure I didn't. Have you ever been to an international team? I haven't been to a full England game. I don't think. I've been to England under 21s, one of the first ones back at Wembley. So I went to watch that, and Andy Carroll played up front, and Kieran Gibbs played in a number 10 role behind him. It was a very bizarre set of circumstances, but it's a great experience there. And I went to 2 Olympics games, which were under 23 matches. There were rubbish sides and rubbish games. It was at the Ricoh Arena in the 2012 Olympics. I don't know if I've been to any other international games than that. Don't think so. Don't hold me to it, but I don't think I have apart from that. Oh, I tell a word of a lie. There were 2 African sides who played at Kenilworth Road about 10 years ago, maybe not quite that long. And I went to watch it. I couldn't even tell you now who it was. I'm sure it was Cameroon. Don't hold me to that though. Oh, Green, you said Tierney. I know you're a Rangers fan, mate, but come on. Let's grow up. Earl Gaiman, what do you think of Norwich? Well, I've always liked Norwich because they run their club sustainably, which I'll come back to in a minute, but because also they let Luton win in the FA Cup 7 years ago, which is still my favourite football game ever, so I can't complain based on that. The thing with Norwich, and I liken it to Luton as well, and a few other clubs in the lower leagues, Wickham have obviously got their rewards now, is if you run a club sustainably at the moment, you get punished generally, because you can't compete with those who don't, and as you've seen with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, as Arsenal go 2-0 up, you don't get punished if you don't run it properly. You end up in administration or whatever, but the general rule is that if you spend beyond your means, as long as you've got a wealthy benefactor somewhere, there's nothing to stop you. The dodgy stadium deals going on are awful, and there's nothing to protect the fans. So I'd rather be like a Norwich or a Luton or a Wickham now, Tranmere, another club I can think of in that example, who run their club sustainably. You've always got something to play for, whether it's an up or a down, rather than just having it all collapse, like we're going to see now. And I know there's great unity in the club. The playing squad's brilliant. The manager's brilliant. But it's the last thing you want is to think, is my club going to be here next year? We saw what happened with Bury and Bolton last year. I've been there with Luton 12 years ago. And we've come out the other side of that with good owners who love the club, who want to make it work. So it's something that people do have to think about. Do I really want this if the side effects of it are we might lose our club later down the line? But then if you go to a Pompey or someone like that, they might say winning the FA Cup made it all alright. I don't know. You never know that. African youngsters on FM are cheap and good. Generally they are. The problem is with particularly in the English leagues now, where there's Brexit in game, it's very hard to then get work permits until they start playing for the side. But when they're at low reputation African teams, they won't play for the national side. So there's a lot of controversy on that topic, but we're not going to get into politics today. We need to give a rest to Jack Vaughan. So I know the lads are tired on the bench, but for 20 minutes they'll be alright. So we're going to put Lowry over on the right wing, and we're going to put Sunday Balogun up front. Lowry will be an inside forward on attack. Who else have we got? Phil Richards can come off. He's going to be replaced by Ossie Robinson. And on the left, Edmonds will be replaced by Dwight McNeil, the homegrown hero. 15 to go. It's 2-0 to Arsenal. And it's not looking good because Arsenal are creating all the chances as Fabio hits his own post. It's an awful clearance. Erling Haaland's just come on for Arsenal as well. And I'm sure he'll nick a goal from somewhere. Let's have a look at the updates to the table. So as it stands, 6 points in it with 4 games to go. But that could be a tense finish still. Thoughts on Macclesfield? They're in a similar position to Bury. Yes, so another example of that. Macclesfield, unfortunately, I honestly still believe, and I know Stevenage have been announced and whatever, I still believe that Macclesfield will go down. I think that the points deduction will get increased. The whole situation of the EFL appealing the points deductions and that is bizarre, but I do think they'll still go down, or perhaps go into administration before the season. However, as you mentioned, Macclesfield, it is a time to announce a channel change. As there's a lot of you here as well, thank you for coming along. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. But Macclesfield will be featuring on a new FM20 series on the channel soon. So this week will be the final 2 episodes of the cricket career. On Wednesday and Saturday, we will be finishing our test series against West Indies and rounding off our summer career and making it as an England test batsman. So those will be these 2 episodes. Then we've got 2 more weeks to go, and the following Sunday, when the football season's finished and there's not a great deal going on, I think it's the 9th of August or the 8th, you'll have to hold me to the date, I think it's the 9th. We will then go and start our Macclesfield series. So I've just sort of taken it, they're expected to finish bottom in FM, they're insecure financially, on the brink of administration. I've already done the pre-season, so I've got the first 2 episodes recorded. We're going to be doing a season with Macclesfield, and I want to do sort of a series of short-term challenges. So sort of 1-year series, doing something that people don't think is possible, or doing something that's a difficult challenge. So the first one of those will be keeping Macclesfield up, hoping we don't go into administration, hoping we can survive despite being on paper one of the worst sides in the league. So that will be the first one of those series. So the plan at the moment is that they'll run every Sunday at sort of lunchtime, maybe 12 or 1 o'clock. And we'll just have a sort of weekly series. So we've got FM content every day on the channel. And depending on how things go later this summer, I might increase to 2 live streams. Because when there's no football on the Saturdays, I might do a couple of bonus Saturdays ones. So the one thing I'll game in for the Macclesfield save that I'll tell you in terms of players is I'm going to run it strictly so it will only be players that are in the scouted reports who we find organically via the transfer rumours page, whatever else it may be, or players that we play against. And I will also warn you that their budget is 0 and they're over their wage bill. So don't get too optimistic in terms of players I might be able to sign. No, we don't have £300 in the budget. They're financially insecure, so you can get players on loan for free, where the clubs are letting them to come without the wages, and we've got a lot of players we need to sell. So they've got a lot of high earners who are the highest paid at the club, so it makes it a really interesting challenge. But it's going to be an interesting one. Chester did lose in the playoffs, and to be fair, they were quite unfortunate. From what I saw in the highlights, they dominated the game against Altrincham. They were the better side for the large part and probably deserved to win. So, you know, they're both good clubs, Chester and Altrincham. I really do like... I know you, as a Wrexham fan, will say the opposite, but Chester's a good club as well. And it's good to see them back in a decent league. I know Anthony Sarsovich, when we were talking to him on the podcast, he was talking about how much he enjoyed his time coming back through the leagues with Chester. And he's just gone to Bolton, so congratulations to him on a big move, just in case he sees this. I think our interview with him, because he was with Plymouth and flying with them, and now he's gone to Bolton, I think it's got like over 2,000 views for a 45-minute sit-down. It's absolutely incredible. I see Chris Holroyd, I wouldn't be able to sign him. I wouldn't be able to get him at Macclesfield, but yeah, he was brilliant for them, wasn't he? They've still got a couple of their legends there, but they're all earning so much money. So I'm trying to get people out of the club who are on sort of £1,000 or £1,500 who are going to be backup players, and then getting £200 youngsters on loan. So we'll wait and see. But the introduction episode to that will be Sunday the 9th of August. And then the week after, we'll have our first game and we'll play through it for the next couple of months. And hopefully we'll get at least 2 of those in before FM21. But we have got to prepare for the fact that the game will probably be later this year. I'd be very surprised if it's got sort of major updates. I think it'll be more like a database update and a patch. But it'll be a new game, and I'm happy to pay the £30 to support it, because it's a brilliant game. I'm just checking if I missed any. Green, Chopper out live on Wednesday. I mean, come on, Green. We're a family-friendly channel. Grow up, eh? No celebrations on camera if Luton go up, because I will probably break all of the rules. What will happen on the podcast channel is... I'll discuss this with Craig. We might do a live reaction if Luton stay up. As in, we'll record our live reaction and then release it as a video so we can edit something else. Scott Bowden, yeah, another good striker. Really, there's a load of good lower league strikers. Green, I don't know what tipple is there, mate. You're going to have to give me your slang. Tom, when's the food series out? So it's something I've been working on for a little while. I've been working on a little food channel, but I don't want it to be just like any other. So I want it to be unique. But football and food are my two main loves. I'd say sport and food, to be fair. So we're working on a few things. I want to do a sort of little day series, but it requires quite a lot of vlogging to do that, which is something I'm not quite used to yet. And I want to do taste tests as well. So all of the sort of different brands up against each other, blinded taste tests. So you'll know, if you saw the downstairs in my house, we would have about 10 different brands of lemonade and Coke and sauces and that all ready to go. So it's just about getting the recording going. So that's the food series, essentially. It will be a separate channel. Once it's in the close stages to going live, I will start publicising it a bit. Because obviously the big problem with these channels is now you need to get to 1,000 before you can monetize, before you can start to grow on YouTube as such. And there's streaming restrictions and chat restrictions and community restrictions before you reach 1,000. So I was kind of trying to tie it in with maybe just before FM21, which that was before it was getting delayed. So hopefully I could get a few people to come over and say hello, and we'd have a little bit of a starting ground there. But we'll wait and see. Drink for heaven's sake. How do I not know that? I don't know. I don't drink. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. I haven't got a sensible one. It's the same as usual. So every Tuesday morning, because it's my day off, I know she's off work now, but I normally walk to work with my other half and then go in the corner shop. We've got a nice big bottle of Coke Zero. So, same as always. Other brands are available. But yeah, it's always a bottle of Coke Zero. It's always in the ICC 2019 Cricket World Cup. Nothing wrong with a double cup, is there? There you go. That's the closest you get into mature content on this channel. Thank you for everyone coming along still. We're getting towards 11 o'clock. I know that's when we get our little rush. Well, that's the thing with the food channel, is I wanted to start it as like the taste test are the easy one to start with. So that will be the first thing that's on there when it starts. I wanted to do sort of dedicated days, so a day of only eating a certain type of product, cuisine, whatever. So one of my favourite YouTubers, I'll just say it now, is Mike Jevons. So he's got a channel where he does like weeks on fad diets and things like that. It's sort of inspired by, but one, I haven't got discipline to do a week of anything. And secondly, I don't want it to be sort of a diet based or a try this trend based. I don't, you know me on this channel, I don't like experiments. I don't like things that are trendy. I want to do things that I enjoy. So if that's a day of eating takeaways of German doner kebab or whatever, then fine. If that's a day of eating Thai food, then great. If it's a day of everything must come out of a bakery, then fantastic. But also some sort of consumer ones, because like growing up, I used to live off Tesco Value and has the smart price, and it gets such a bad rap. So I don't want those sort of things to be missed out. Jordan Love Mark Jam, yeah, he's brilliant, and he's quite local to us as well. So, but yeah, his content's brilliant, and I'd encourage anyone to check it out. To be honest, hope you don't have any allergies. No, I don't. Not any food allergies anyway, and not any bad allergies. Only a slight one for dust cats and dogs, so certainly not a disaster. We're through to our fourth game, so let's focus on football for 1 minute as we're back to face Derby. We're heavy favourites, and I've remembered to keep everyone fit this week. So Flauhout will come back in at centre half. Fabio will go back on the bench for Furlong. And I think aside from that, we will bring Ossie Robinson back in actually. Although Richards played well at home last time, so let's start building towards... Oh, I don't know what to go for there, actually. No, Robinson comes back in. There we go. Into the game we go. Hopefully, we can wrap up a European place here. El Gaming, I honestly have no idea what that is. I can be brutally honest. I'm not having a good morning of knowing what people are on about this morning. Greeny, yeah, see, there you go. Getting the laughs out. That's the main thing. As long as we can get people... So a lemonade blindfold, that will be... It's funny you say that, El Gaming. That will be the first video on the channel. That's the one I've got all of. So we've got every brand of lemonade, basically. All of the store brands from value to normal to luxury. And my other half is hopefully going to ably assist me by providing a blind taste test. We've just got to work out how the setting's going to work. Whether it's something physically on a table, me one side and the drinks the other side. And then the cups there with the drinks in that I don't know what they are. or whether we're going to do sort of a curtain reveal. I don't know. Well, that's the bit we're trying to work on. But the idea is there, and it will happen eventually. And we've got most of the products in for it, so I've got to do it before they go out of date. Thank you for everyone who's joining along. I can see the numbers creeping up again, 11 o'clock. I do appreciate it greatly. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for putting a thumbs up on. If you're new along, welcome to the channel. Please do subscribe. We're not starting well here with Burnley, so we're going to demand more. We need to stay in this European hunt because Chelsea have found form and there's only 5 points in it now. Blind taste test green. Honestly, mate, seriously. L Gaming, R Whites is my favourite then. So do you know what the funny thing is? R Whites, in my opinion, from taste test where I know what the drink is, R Whites is the one that made me want to start this channel because I absolutely despised it. I really thought it was poor. And I guess the thing to say is it won't be full fat, it will be diet drinks for me. So we'll have Sprite Zero, 7-Up Free, we've got Schweppes, Diet R Whites, and then all of the diet store brands as well. So there's loads going on. I'll do the same with Coke as well, because people always tell me that's the one food or drink I'm a snob on, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference, and I'm pretty confident I would, so I might get proven wrong here. Oh, we've gone behind. Joel van Dijk has scored for Derby County, and we are in big trouble. We're going to ask for some passion. We might have to go a bit more attacking. So there you go, Tom. The ice lollies, that's a different thing. They're up there. Although, to be fair, until this summer, I never really liked Magnums, and I've got well into them this summer. Mainly because when we were in lockdown, and our co-op was on Deliveroo, as we've scored from a bizarre own goal. Simpson post keeper and in, and Simpson's still been given the goal. But the Magnums were the only ones at a reasonable price on a multi-pack, so I have been living off them this summer. We've got a quarter of the game to go, and we need a goal. So that means, same change as last game, Balogun on up front, Leon Lowry on the wing. He's going to be an inside forward on attack. And Richards again, maybe coming on. I don't know. Yeah, Richards for Harrop. And one more sub. Don't really know who improves us. I think perhaps just Fabio for Flauhaut because he's been injured. Although Bonner has as well. Flauhaut's the skipper. I don't want to take him off. So Fabio for Bonner. They're the 3 changes made. 25 to go. Can we nick a winner? So L Gaming, yeah, I will do that as well. So as well as the lemonade, I'll do a Coke one. It will be Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Max. We'll do the same with the bar one because we used to get them in a corner shop after school. And then we'll do some of the store ones as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the store value ones don't do diet. Can I tell the difference between Slazenger and Puma? If they've got a price next to them, I can, yeah. Because Slazenger and Dunlop were my childhood, and Sondico, because they were the 3 cheap ones that you could afford. Edmonds puts a shot wide, 5 to go. I'm just looking at the table. Do we need to go for it? We're 5 clear. Oh, I'm going to go for it, because we've got a worse goal difference as well. Let's throw ourselves forward. So we can distribute to the fullbacks as well. We're already further forward. We're going to be more expressive, run at the defence. Let's try and nick a winner. We've got 2 strikers on the pitch. Surely we can do it now. But it's not going to happen. It's going to be a 1-1 draw. And we're creeping down. So pizzas, you would love to see the freezer. There's already 4 there ready. We're building a nice repertoire of pizzas. The only issue I have with the food ones like that is that obviously if I'm cooking 8 pizzas to taste test, for example, I'm going to be possibly wasting a lot of food. So I don't want to do things like that immediately. But even on the smaller scale, so like little snacks, for example, we've got like the digestive bars and caramel wafers, all of the different branded from a Penguin to an Asda Smart Price, you know. So there's lots of options. There's definitely not going to be shorter content for the taste test. It's just obviously over this period in particular, it's been difficult to get a shopping slot with all of the different companies. So as we've got last 2 coming in the next few weeks, I think. So then hopefully I'll have all that I need to start making them. So I applaud that. Tommy up there's a vegan. You're a veggie. I couldn't be doing that, unfortunately. I do make a conscious effort to eat less. So I'd argue probably 80% of my lunches now are veggie. Because I like quite a lot of the pasta pots, the pesto pots. I love a pesto with mushroom and courgette and that. So I'm getting there, better than I was. But for dinner, unfortunately, the main meal of the day, I'll still have a meat eater. But that's the thing, is encouraging people to eat less of it or not to have it unnecessarily. And a pizza's another great example. Curry as well, where veggie options are just as good pretty much. Cup of tea, strong and not strong. So this is where I'm going to cause controversy. And it was something I was thinking about as the first live stream for the food channel later in the year. Particularly when it gets to the colder end of winter. I do not drink any hot drinks. And I know I'm in a very vast minority there. But I will stick to that. So I know no hot drinks whatsoever. And it's already caused ridicule in my workplace of largely middle-aged women. Greenie, I can't give an honest answer to most of these without causing trouble, because you're forcing me very close to a slip up, mate. Well, that was the thing with the sausages and meats and chicken and things like that. I wanted to do sort of there's a lot of them where there's options or dishes for sort of non-meat options, so meat free. And I'd love to compare them in a blind taste test for me, as someone saying I couldn't go without meat or I couldn't go without this. If I then did a blind taste test of Richmond's normal, Asda, Butcher's, whatever, and then a veggie or a vegan one as well, I mean, that could make me look like a completely different man, and it might well be a life changer. But I'd be interested in a blind taste test. That's probably the best way to find out. If I can tell the difference, then I know that I've got a justification for what I'm saying here. So sorry for any of you coming along expecting Football Manager content and us to talk about football and sport today. We are now talking about food, and I'm afraid that's how this live stream looks like it's staying. And I'm not going to complain about that. I can see Craig's gone quiet. He always does when the food comes out. Thank you for everyone coming along. We're at the record number of viewers for the stream so far. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. Come and get involved in the chat. You may have been mistaken by the title into thinking this is a Football Manager stream. But unfortunately, that is just an afterthought. We are talking all things food, so come and get involved. Iced tea, no. Anything that tastes like tea, coffee, even hot chocolate. I mean, I'm not a fan of that either. So, no, none of that. Even when I had in March, when I had like the coronavirus symptoms, and they were trying to desperately get me to have a hot lemon sip or a hot blackcurrant lemon sip, I just couldn't do it. Hot drinks absolutely revolt me. Chicken nugget veggie burgers. See, yeah, like the cheap chicken burgers aren't great anyway, so I'd love to do that. I'd love to do like, because they're the sort of things where, without giving away how greedy I am, I could eat 4 burgers if I needed to. Like a store brand, get the best store brand in my opinion. The Bird's Eye normal chicken ones, luxury brand chicken ones, and then a veggie option. That for me is the sort of thing I'd be looking at. Greenie, hungry now? Yeah, I'm starting to drift towards a takeaway for lunch after all this. I haven't had breakfast yet, thinking Weetabix. So I tell you what, any of you who follow me on Twitter, at FMLoad, you will see what I had for breakfast. I was planning to have the usual boring cereal, but I went for a walk at my other house, with my other half, because we were going to take a stroll to a house about 15 minutes away that we were looking at, which was on the market. Unfortunately, looking at it from the outside put us off a little bit, but if you head over to Twitter, you'll be able to see what I had. I haven't had breakfast yet. Weetabix. Yeah, see, cereal's always the best option for me. But I would cause controversy. There's one statement I'm not willing to make yet because it would probably make a few people leave immediately. But I will announce it on the food channel on one day where I have cereal. Full English. Oh god, yeah. Every Sunday. Every Sunday I full English. So the only thing I don't have is tomatoes and egg. I hate eggs, which is going to be a controversial one as well. But sausages, bacon, beans, hash browns or some form of potato, mushrooms, fried bread, orange juice. Sorted. We are back for... oh, it's not a midweek game. I thought it was. It must be FA Cup semi-finals or something for there to be a reduced fixture list. Or maybe the Europa League was Thursday. If there's English sides in it. Have we got anyone else back to fitness yet? No. Ferran Torres isn't ready. I think aside from that, we stick with the same lineup. We might bring Richards in again. Although away from home, Robinson did alright last time. So I'm just going to keep the same 11. We just need to hold on to a European place. Well, funnily enough, talking of mortgage brokers, because I've been trying to save my wages for nearly a decade. About 2/3 of it for a decade I've been saving to try and get a little 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom house. Santander are only giving 25% still, even though it's changed again as it's opened up. So I'm having to shop around a little bit. But yeah, for me, I just want to get on the ladder, get something little and decent. The only thing I want is a garden. I'm set on a garden. You went for a stroll with your other half? Yeah, with my other half, sorry. Oh, Green's the type. He's known me for years. He picks up on absolutely everything. Aldi's for veggie burgers. That's the only problem. Aldi and Lidl is how do I get the food? Because there's not a local store to me. They're probably 4 or 5 miles away. And I'm not one for unessential travel at the moment. We'll go and tell the lads to do it for the fans. We've told the players that. And we hope Derby stick with their manager. Because he did alright against us. They certainly showed fight. Macclesfield vlogs, would you say Macclesfield have been hard done by with all the points being deducted? As a fan, if I'm being brutally honest, based on previous experiences, I would say as a club you've probably been easily done by in terms of deductions. And I say that as a Luton fan who lost 50 points over 3 years and we got slapped with -30. And I'd argue we haven't done a great deal differently, except from, Macclesfield. At the end of the day, they're a club that the ownership situation, I feel for the fans first and foremost, because the fans are always the ones that are hard done by in all of this. But in terms of technical terms as the club, I think their points deduction will be increased, because the way they've been living outside their means and they've not been paying wages, which yes is the fault of the owner, not the fans and the people in the club, but it's only going to lead to one outcome. So what you need hopefully is a good local businessman who will take over, who says, look, you're going to be, for a few years, you might be a National League club, but you're going to be run sustainably. You'll have a club you can be proud of. We'll be able to give good ticket prices and we'll be able to pay the wages. And as a football fan, that's all you can ask for. As a Luton fan, we have 5 years in the National League, but we got it. And you'd rather that than end up with Bury. The same as we said when we did our Wigan episode over on the podcast, there was such an outpouring from Wigan fans. And as long as you've got a club next season, that's the main thing. And that's my worry for the likes of Macclesfield, the likes of Wigan. I know Dave Whelan will probably save them, but I worry they won't have a club to support. And we've seen with Bury how bad that can be. And I'd rather you get a bigger points deduction, get a local businessman and rebuild, than have that sort of hope of we're still in League 2, the owner clings on, or we try and cling on to a situation that isn't sustainable and you end up with no club. So I know it seems like I'm being harsh in the interim, but I honestly think long term it will be the better thing for the club. As Fulham are in, and we've nearly conceded again there. What on earth is going on? We found a poor spell. We've just run out of steam here towards the end of the season. Edmonds with a corner. We could do with a set-piece goal, and we've got one. Did you see Callum Bonner slide in there? That was incredible instinctive striker play from the right back. Waffles instead, or bacon from what you just said. Yeah, see, so I'm not a big fan of the American bacon and waffles. I did try it once. Bacon and pancakes as well. I'm not a massive fan. 10% deposit with Nationwide at the moment for first-time buyers. That would suit me down to the ground. I mean, if we're talking about a tiny, like a little 1 or 2 bedroom house locally, then I'm just sort of waiting. And this is where I want your advice, really. It's the only question I'd ask on mortgages. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be boring all morning, I promise. Is a lot of the advice from most of the people we've spoken to is to either bid. Wow, what a goal, Ossie Robinson. That was the right team choice. A lot of the advice from most places is either to bid well below the asking price or hold off 2 or 3 months for those who are going to be desperate in the market. So I don't really know, to be honest. Back to football, as there's a couple of questions. Yeah, we've gone from football to cricket to food, and we're going to go back to football now. The one thing we haven't talked about is FM, bar about 10 seconds. Oh, sorry, L Gaming. I'm all over the place there. Fulham have scored from a Jack Vaughan own goal, and they're back in the tie. I think we need to move back to football, don't we? So back to football. Tom, but can you expand on your thoughts on the WhatsApp group about Bellerin getting games ahead of Cedric because fans apparently not? Yes. So Hector Bellerin back from injury, and this is my point. It's going to take him a long time to recover, and I don't know if he'll ever get his pace back, but if we're talking about who is the best right back, right wing back in the Arsenal squad, it is Cedric. He's won the Euros. He's an incredibly solid and consistent professional. I thought Bellerin was probably the arguable weak link in the City game, albeit that the link wasn't particularly weak. Jesus Christ, I'm all over the place. But yeah, I think Cedric is the better one. That's never a penalty. He's not giving a penalty for that, is he? No, free. Oh, he is. He's given a penalty for that. Ashley Harrett's taken it. His rating's 13. I might put Lowry on penalties next season to get the goals up. Harrett scores. Maybe not. That's a great penalty. But yeah, I just think Cedric's the better fullback. And I think Arsenal fans, because Bellerin's homegrown, because he's quite a good man morally and ethically off the pitch, I think a lot of fans endear themselves to that, as you probably admit you would as well, rather than going on the best footballer purely. But I think next season under Arteta, Cedric will probably be first choice and Bellerin the Europa League maybe. I'm sorry to all of the people who are hungry as a result of this. I know there's a few of you that have said it. Les Ely's son has said he wants to buy the club and he's quite local and wanted to buy Berry, so he meets all the criteria. I mean, I don't know a huge amount about him, but on paper that seems like a good idea. I mean, as Luton fans, we know a fair amount as well, so no problem with that at all. Les Ely was a bit of a hero in the back in the day for Luton, sorry. So yeah, absolutely, go for it. As long as they're going to run the club sustainably, don't worry about we're not competing with this team, we're not doing this. That can't be the first thought at the moment. A lot of teams will learn that coming out of this outbreak. Fulham are still 3-1 behind, but with 5 to go, they're causing a threat. Ruthven's on a yellow, so Wardley will come on. Lowry's had another poor game. Balogun up front. And Nathan Mullen can get a few more minutes. Harrods scored a penalty, but not done great aside from that. Yeah, try and get 10% knocked off the price if you can. Most lenders seem to downvalue properties at the moment, yeah. So I think we are starting to see now that houses are going on the market for maybe 5 or 10% less than they were. But realistically, most lenders have said they're going to get down to 20% lower as people get more desperate, as the furlough scheme ends in particular. So I'd probably try and go 10% below what they're on the market for at least. It's a bad time to be a Wrexham fan, and I mean loads of teams. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of teams are having to be selling clubs more than they were before, and that's making it really difficult. But unfortunately, bar probably the top 5 or 6, every club will be a selling club now, and that's just how it is. What they've done with it, yeah, that's the problem with most owners, is what they do with the money for players they sell. Most fans, I would argue, don't need to see it reinvested in big transfer fees. However, they need to see it in the infrastructure of the club, the stadium improvements, the training facilities, the whatever else. I know some fans of the big clubs get worried when players don't cost a lot, but I take you back to Arsene Wenger with Rob Holding. I'm sorry he's not a £50 million player. He's £2 million, but he's going to be good enough for the Premier League. I fancy pizza now after the chat. Sorry about that. Andy Green, I don't think I've asked you before. Were you against NJ comeback? No. So, we had this chat in the podcast. It's one of the most successful ones we've done, actually. It probably started our crazy spell over there. But for me, I know a lot of Luton fans were blindly against it, which I can understand from an emotional point of view, from the way he left. But the board's decision was very clever. If there hadn't been an outbreak and there had been fans in the stadium, I honestly don't believe they will have re-employed him. I can honestly say that. Not during the season anyway. They might have once they got relegated, which they would have. I don't think they would have employed him. But with there being no fans there, he had the chance for 9 games to become a hero before the fans were back in. So yes, you've got to put up with all of that nonsense on social media. But in terms of the stadium itself, he could get on with the job and he didn't have to worry what would happen until next season. And he knew by that point that he couldn't lose, because we're expected to go down, and if, as we're the favourites to now, we stay up, he's a hero, and he comes back in and he's a manager of a championship team unexpectedly. He's pulled off the great escape, and the fans will be saying, hang on a minute, you've got us out from nowhere. The noises coming out from the players are incredible, that he's taken them back to where they were before, that they've got trust in him, they've got faith in him. And there's some horror stories coming out for the man management of Graham Jones, unfortunately. So I think it's a good sign. I mean, we spoke to Faye Carruthers on the podcast last week. She's a big Luton fan as well. and just said Nathan Jones the right man. So he was the best candidate for the job in very simple terms. All I've said to the Luton fans who have argued that they didn't want him back or he should never come back after what he did, name me who was the better candidate for the job. That's all I wanted to know. And a few said like Warnock and Houghton, and that's great. But Luton haven't got 20 grand a week to pay a manager, and them two ain't coming to Luton for less than that. So yeah, I agree. It was a masterstroke in theory, and we're one game away from it being proven as that. And if he keeps them in the Championship, with the greatest respect, it will probably save the stadium planning permission, which has gone through. We sold £10 million worth of players last year. We will have to sell one more this summer. I've already said I think it should be Harry Cornick. If we can get 2 or 3 million, let him go. And hopefully everything's back on track. Yeah, that's the thing, Algan. When you have big money sales from your club, so like we did before we went administration before, and then nothing came from it, it's always the bit that's the most frustrating to take. When you feel like you've lost someone and nothing's come out of it. Right, should we talk about Football Manager for a minute? We've reached my birthday in-game. I'm trying to work out in terms of years. 10 years in the future, it'll be my 37th birthday. So let me just go and check that I've counted that right. We've got some 18-year-olds here. So we need to have a look because anyone under 18 will become homegrown at the club. And that guy on the right wing is incredible. And right wing is one of the positions. I don't think we've got a brilliant option. So I'm going to get a further scout report on him, I think. Because it's not an estimated cost. When's his birthday? 5th of November. So he is going to be fine. Jack Vaughan will go into central midfield then. And we can focus on building a squad there. 23 years of age, 25. 18-year-old German. Oh, he's at Gladbach. Our head coach club. Let's have a look. Or our former head coach club, I should say now. 2.5 million. His birthday's the 6th of July. And he's the number 10. So let's get that one done as well. And Morgan's 23. So we can't have him. But we're nearly there. Are we going to hold on for the European spot? That's the thing. Happy FM birthday. There we go. Still a pup lad, eh? 37. I dread to think how grey I'll be at that point, looking at me now. So, Cornick's not shocking, Green, I wouldn't say. What I would say is he's an attacking player who can't finish. And I think he's getting to the stage where he's got the striker's mindset, where he's going for the shot rather than the pass or the cross. And it's a liability at this point. He will start in midweek because Engelawala will come off the bench. And my word, he's the best super sub to have in the league, as we saw. But I think he's been a very good servant for Luton. He's a good player and he's improved hugely. He's not shocking by any means. But if we want to go to that next level, we're going to have to be a selling club. We always will be. So we're looking at which people are young enough and worth enough that they're going to be the candidates to go. And the candidates to go, if we're being realistic, are Cornick, are James Collins, because he's a bit older, but he's now an international and he's doing really well. We need to keep an eye on that youth player who's been poached by Leeds. Keep an eye out for him next year. Pelly Ruddock's one of the options as well, because he's been there 6-7 years, but he is so key to what we do. But most of the others, I wouldn't argue, are going to be big value. We need to try desperately, and if we stay up, the reason that's so important is I think we'll be able to get Cameron Carter-Vickers back on loan or permanent, whatever it may be. And I don't know what's happening with Izzy Brown really. I don't know that he'll stay because Nathan Jones doesn't seem to rely on him, doesn't seem to fancy him. And considering Graham Jones spent 7 months saying that the rest of the squad was rubbish and will only stay up if Izzy Brown's in the team, I think that's sort of been proved wrong now. I mean, Elliot Lee was the harshest treated man in Luton this season. Was key last season, got over 10 goals, over 10 assists in a promotion winning season for the 2nd year in a row. And then just got dropped out in the cold. And since he's come back in under Nathan Jones, it's been brilliant. So yeah, that was a bit of a weird one as well. And we were at a time where we didn't have a backup striker for Luton. Because Hylton wasn't fit, he was out injured. Collins was knackered at the end of games, and there was no Elliot Lee wasn't coming on to try and get an equaliser. It was so strange. Ferran Torres is back from injury, so he'll come on the bench for the injured Mullen. And aside from that, I think we go the same again, because we got a good win on the road. We've got West Ham at home, who are 9th. They're out of it now. But with 2 games to go, Leicester can't catch us, because they've beaten Bournemouth, but they're 4 behind with 1 to play. We've got a worse goal difference than Chelsea, so we need 2 points basically. So hopefully we can get it done today. If not, This will be the final game of the stream, and on Sunday we'll do a bonus video for the last game of the season. But hopefully it won't come to that, and we'll just be able to play through the 2 games. There we go. Tunnel interview done. In we go. Let's try and beat West Ham. Nice to focus on FM for a couple of minutes. Just watched your draft from the start of lockdown yesterday, I think. Yeah, so it was me against Craig, wasn't it? And I think we scored already. I was in the chat there, and Jack Vaughan's got another goal. What a brilliant player he's turned out to be. He's so reliable. And he's always playing well. But yeah, the draft series was good fun to make. There were some technical issues with the audio, both on our one and the podcast one. But the live, not the live stream, what I'm on about. The live season series was brilliant, the verses. So I did one on this channel, Barnet v Chesterfield, me v Craig, and then we did one on the podcast where Charlie and Craig were in charge of multiple clubs in the end. But that was really fun as well. I do like those sort of things. And as I said last week, once I get to the stage long term where we have to worry about things like Patreon and memberships and all of that, which will be a while off yet, but once we get to that, as Ossie Robinson puts one wide, the versus fantasy draft or the FIFA live game, that sort of thing is something I'd love to incorporate to give people the chance to play against me. Yeah, I wouldn't rule a Wrexham save out. I mean, the Macclesfield one was picked because it's one of the challenges that's supposed to be really hard because they're expected to finish bottom. There's that 50-50 of will they go into administration during the season and the financial restraints at the club and the fact that the squad isn't great. So, yeah, I'd definitely say that's the first one, but there's potential ones in the future. I mean, if Wrexham had gone down this year, which thankfully for you they didn't, they would have been top of the list for candidates for next year's One Club Story. But as it is, I'm still hoping I can do the more local one. And to be honest, I don't know whether I'll do a Youth Academy challenge or a One Club Story yet. We'll wait and see. Well, that's the problem, Carl, and I think that's why Nathan Jones didn't succeed at Stoke, is because the wages Stoke were paying were so high for some of those players, he couldn't get them out of the squad. And as much as he wasn't playing most of them, they were still in the dressing room and behind the scenes causing those troubles. And we've interviewed loads of pros who have talked about how important that is. So I completely understand that. You've got to hope Michael O'Neill can get rid of them, or that now they'll trust him to get rid of them. But will people take them on those wages? I don't know. And it's the same sort of issue Huddersfield have got now. I know theirs is a lower problem because, wow, that nearly went in. Robinson's having a go from everywhere today. I know Huddersfield's players are on lower wages, but there's probably less clubs that want them. They kind of cheated in that one with Tranmere and Wickham. Yes, they did. They did cheat in that one with Tranmere and Wickham. I did say that. And to be honest, it harmed them. So, there you go. But for me, Tranmere, we overachieved. So, no complaints there at all. But I'm glad you agree that they cheated, because the votes resoundingly said that they did. Charlie, sorry, I was digging up on my garden, so I've missed half of this. That's all right. However, mint and chocolate don't go together. See, Charlie, you've missed the best bit, mate. We've been talking for 40 minutes about the upcoming food channel. We've talked about every different food topic in the sun, so you might want to go back on the replay after this and catch up with that. Green, no comment. But it's apparently the most popular one on the podcast. Oh yeah, I'd be disappointed if you play against me on FM or Cricket 19. I'm not great. To be honest, the Cricket 19, it was one of the things that most people asked to come back. But it's the hardest videos to make, the console ones. They take a lot more time for editing and recording, and a lot more time to play in between. And if they're getting less views, as Edmonds has picked up an injury, than the FM ones, it makes sense for me to do an extra stream or to do an extra weekly series from FM. Or even an extra video from my stories. So Dwight McNeil's in on the left-hand side. Lowry's going for a goal drought, so we'll put Balogun on up front. And Xavier replaced by Phil Richards. Youngsters getting games again. And a lot of these will be going this summer. So when you come back next week for the new season, there are going to be a lot of transfers that you won't have expected. But don't forget, we're building towards the Youth Academy Challenge with the full Homegrown 11. And Charlie, thoughts on Bellingham to Dortmund? So we had a little chat about it earlier on. I think it's a brilliant move for him. I just said I'm so glad he's picked Dortmund rather than a top 6 Premier League club, because he will develop quickly. I think Dortmund have got an eye on keeping Sancho, and I think Bellingham will help with that, and I think he's going to be a superstar. As Balogun's in, he's missed. McNeil's there. Dwight McNeil, first goal back in his second spell, 30 years of age now, declining hugely physically, but he is going to be brilliant. If you ever want to lose on Cricket 19... I mean, I'm not great at Cricket 19, to be honest. The pace bowling, I'm not great at. Yes, sorry, I have made nearly everyone starving in the food chat. I can only apologise. But we'll be done by 12 o'clock, so don't worry. You can go and get your lunches then. We're 2-0 up. We've got the second goal, and it looks like we've qualified for the Europa League. So hopefully we won't need to worry about the last day of the season. And I say we've qualified for the Europa League. We finished 6th. We haven't definitely qualified. No one can catch us now. What I would say is we finished 7th last year when we were managing Burnley and the head coach, as this was, the previous season. Edmund's out for 2 weeks. That's not a disaster. We'll go to the press conference. So I think what we need to do now, ahead of the final game, is look at the other competitions. Because we need to know... The Carabao Cup was won by Liverpool, who were up in the top 5. So that's fine. We need to see who's in the FA Cup final, because this is where it all went wrong last time. The FA Cup is between United and Everton. So United are 4th, Everton are mid-table. So Manchester United must win that for us. If we look at the Champions League, I just want to check Chelsea aren't flying. PSG v Madrid, perfect. Europa League. Oh, no. Chelsea v Tottenham. Oh, I think that's bad. Chelsea are in 8th. We need Tottenham to win it. Tottenham have to win the Europa League final. Because if Everton win the FA Cup, Chelsea win the Europa League, we're effectively 8th. And then we're out of Europe, presumably. And I don't even know if I want to look at the Europa League too. We had this with Dortmund, where we finished 6th and didn't get into Europe. So let's go to the second Europa League. Non-English final. So I think, if I've got this right, if either of the other things happen, which is Chelsea win the Europa League or United win the FA Cup, we qualify for the Europa League too. If both of them happen, whereas United and Tottenham win, then in that case we will be in the Europa League. And if both of them don't happen, if neither of them happen, we will be out of Europe entirely. Ruffen's improving already. Have Wrexham won anything on this? I'll have a look after the last game. Seeing as Andy Green has been so active, is Gerrard to Man United stop Celtic winning the league again? Is Gerrard the man to stop Celtic winning the league again? He's a man for a European run. His domestic... I said this yesterday in the chat. His record at Rangers as a manager is basically mirroring his career, which is Europe is pretty much... I mean, he's so inspiring in Europe. And Rangers performed above all odds in that. But I don't know that he's the man to get them there domestically. I think, as I said yesterday, he does a lot of the opposition's team talks for them because he's so disrespectful to some of the lower Scottish clubs, which I get. It's what a lot of managers and players for those clubs are probably thinking, as we found out in our podcast interviews, even at youth level. But you can't say that out loud because you're doing the team talk for them. I have missed a few comments here. Shania Twain is still the one. Is it a tune? Of course it is. Perfect tune. Who do you think will be the new Watford manager? I said this yesterday. Sacking Pearson with 2 games to go. Who on earth's going to take over? So it'll be Mullins and Stack for the 2 games. It's basically their dress rehearsal. They'll probably go for a flamboyant Italian or Spaniard, as they tend to. But they've not helped their chances of staying up by sacking him. He did a brilliant job, Pearson. And he'll get a bigger job as a result. I'm just looking. Our final game of the season, we've got 3 of our youngsters on international duty. Was it the Under-20 World Cup? Who was it who they said they were going? Oh, French Youth Invitational. So we've lost 3 of our best players before the end of the season. That's not ideal. Have Wrexham won? Oh, sorry, I've missed that message. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm swinging Yorkers. That's how I'd be. Yeah, see, that's the thing. The cricket career, when I'm batting, the full length, as in properly full length, I'm good at. The good length, I'm solid at. Short, iffy, but I'm getting more disciplined. The full length, the yellow Yorker length, I really struggle with. Thank you to everyone coming along. Thank you for making this stream so active. I really do appreciate it. If you are one that hasn't been able to put a thumbs up on yet, I really would appreciate it if you can. We're one away from double figures today. If we can get one more, it'll be up there with a record for during the live stream. And then hopefully a few more in the replay later. But thank you for all coming along and viewing for so long. It's absolutely brilliant for me. Considering it's a Tuesday morning, it's inconvenient timing. It's Burnley, it's not a massive club. It's one of the solid Premier League teams. And we're doing a Youth Academy challenge, which isn't the most ideal. So I do appreciate you all coming along. How's the old tennis elbow? It is improving. I'll show you why, Green. Let me see if I can get this on camera. I've got one of these. So it's a furry elbow support. It has absolutely changed the life. So it's got it doubles up as a mouse mat as well, but just means as arm support. And I'm getting a new desk is my next investment, which will improve the lighting and mean I'm not using a TV screen on a wooden box or a cardboard box. It's the box that my headset came in that I used to record the cricket videos on. So I think my first career that I did with cricket, not Cricket 19, but the first one, Don Bradman Cricket, the original. Was it 14? Or was it just called Don Bradman Cricket? I can't even remember now. I think it was Don Bradman Cricket 14. I did a pace bowling all-rounder career in that and batted at about 6 or 7. But I've always been a spin bowler since. Because if you're a pace bowler, you just get too many overs, and I prefer batting. Nigel Pearson is my assistant at Dundee. No one's out of line with him. You've got to have a disciplinarian if you want to be soft. I work the opposite way. I don't mind being the bad cop, so I'd then get a good cop in. So my assistant here, good old John Underwood, he's always asking me to encourage him. Turns out I'm much better and actually good at it. See, yeah, the pace bowling, it was definitely easier. I don't know if you remember the first Don Bradman Cricket. The spin bowling's not what it was now. It used to be really hard to do. You had to do 3 full spins. And it was timing-wise, it was horrible. But now, because you just have to do the 1 rotation, it works really well. And I really like spin bowling. So we're up there in terms of transfer spend. Only minus 8 million. I guess next summer we will make a huge profit. Unless we find some brilliant 18-year-olds. And I just want to get the views now there's more people here for this. Do you think looking at the England under-18 squad and signing under-18s from there is cheating? Normally I don't use the player search screen. I just rely on scout reports as you've seen throughout this. So do you think it's cheating to go and look at the England under-18s and pick some up? Considering we had a poor youth intake as well. I know it means we'll probably be more likely to get success in this series. In the next, 2 seasons we've probably got left. But I don't want to be unethical in my approach. So let's have a look at the 18s, because we did have that one youngster in the intake who was okay. Matty Todd's improving as well. He's doing all right. But otherwise, no, it's not looking good. The potential's gone down for whichever ones did join as well. Under 23s, yeah, it's a shame. There's not really any stars below the ones we've promoted. Andrew Green, I'd like to see if you're not bad at cricket, because I don't remember. I know we played a tiny bit in school, but I was never in your half of the year, so I never saw you play, really. In real life, yeah. In real life, I would describe myself probably as a slow left-arm Chinaman, because I don't spin the ball and I haven't got any pace. However, I was always a decent goalkeeper, so I fancied my chances as a batting wicket-keeper. And with the bat, I was all right the few times we did play. Yeah, you're good considering you only started last year. Charlie's telling Green the same as me. I've seen you play cricket. Brilliant. That's what I wanted to see. It's the one thing I'd love to play more. Oh, long barrier. Yeah, you can't beat that. Greeny on the boundary would probably be great. Wouldn't catch anything, but he's got pace around the boundary, so it'd certainly prevent a fourth. He'd turn a 4 into a 3. I'll give you that, if nothing else. I'll definitely have you fielding for me. Will you watch the snooker today? Alfie Bird is in action this afternoon. Yeah, so he's a really exciting break builder. He was so honest when we spoke to him on the podcast. Both about his youth football career, where he probably would have been a pro without injuries. And then where he's maybe wasn't as disciplined as he should have been in his snooker career. But at his best, he's a brilliant break builder. So if he can get in the flow, it'll be good. But I'm a massive snooker fan. Obviously, I've done a snooker career on the channel. I did a little video earlier this year. I'm a massive snooker fan, so I'll definitely be watching a bit of it. I'll probably watch it while I'm editing your Northern Irish interviews, mate. Let's get Vinicius in on the left. I'm trying to work out how to get this team to play right. So I'm going to go Lowry there, Robinson there, Vaughan there. And because we've lost Harrott, Richards and Bonner to international duty. Fabio will come in at right back. Or do I give Furlong his final game before retirement? Looking at his ratings, probably not. So we'll give Fabio a game. Furlong on the bench. Grondona on the bench. Whitehouse on the bench. And Mullen just back from injury. He would have started today if he was fit. But that's the team we're going to go for. So a lot of changes for our final game of the season. Ruffin at left back is becoming a world-class superstar already. And for the Premier League final game, we know we're going to finish 6th. And it's all about now, can we win this? And then what will happen in the other trophies? Let's go and get into it. What do you think will happen? Will we get into Europe? Let me catch up with the chat again. My brother is a batting wicket keeper. Yeah, he's got the right idea. That's what I'd be doing. I would definitely be going for the wicket keeper. Yes, don't gamble. If you do, gamble responsibly. We've got a diamond for Tottenham, which we always struggle with. I can't thank you enough for your support today. We've been in double figures for at least half an hour now, which is absolutely incredible. I thank you so much for all of you coming along. Please do put a thumbs up on it. If you're new along, subscribe, come and get involved in the chat. We're in our last game of the season, and then it's just the anxious wait as to whether we'll get into Europe. I think we'll get into Europe too, but I'm going to gamble on one of the things going against us. Although it's not Ossie Robinson who's having fun in the number 10 role. And we take the lead at Tottenham. So I think what will happen is we'll end up in the Europa League too. But actually, given the youngsters we've got at the club, that would probably be better. And in the other series with Dorkin, we sort of skipped past it. We went from nothing to Europa League. We don't get that option. And I say that, we're not in Europe yet, but I think this season we will get Europa League. I haven't recorded the end of the season yet, so I'll be finding out later this afternoon in my world. And you guys probably next week. Interesting. 2-0 to me. Well, you got half of that right already, to be fair. Jack Vaughan's picked it up in the centre circle. Robinson wide to Lowry. I tell you what, Robinson's loving the number 10 role. Lowry in just over the bar. And he loves playing off the right. We know that very well. Got a lovely Burnley coloured suit on the sideline as well. I don't think I mentioned that this season. Ball's headed away. Balogun's in the lineup as well, which is good for us. If he can get a goal, his value will creep up again. It's just starting to go down here. Eddie Nketiah. What on earth's happened there? Oh, he's given a penalty. I wondered why he'd stopped it because he put the ball in. Eddie Nketiah up front for Spurs. The Arsenal youngster. Saved by Ryan Summerskill. I've lost count of how many penalties that man has saved for us during our stint at Burnley in both the head coach and here. He has been absolutely incredible. Angerin heads the corner wide. Of course, a hero for us in the head coach with Chelsea now. And you'll be able to see him in action later today. 4:30, the next head coach episode. And there will be plenty of action from Angerin, who is a first team regular in that one. Don't ignore Greeny's request. Oh, sorry, I haven't even looked at the chat since then. Give us your best Yorkshire accent. Absolutely not. I think you'll get into Europe. I've seen that one. Sorry, I missed that completely. Where's the shirt and tie for this? I'm not doing it for the last game of the season. I'll do it for a cup final. But we haven't got one with Burnley yet. And that's the thing. If I play in a semi and I don't know if I'm going to get through to the final, how do I prepare? Maybe I'll get the shirt on unbuttoned and then we'll button it up if we need to. But unfortunately, your prediction's wrong, L Gaming, because Tottenham have just equalised. It's 1-1 now. Charlie, you're a decent off spinner. Coming at 8 or 9 with the bat. Can't defend to save my life. I bet Charlie's one of those who can put the odd spinner in, but then is hopeless against spin. And that's what he'll always get out to. I always struggled with that. The pace bowling I found easy to defend against. Spin bowling I found easy to hit sixes off. Or 4s and 6s. The medium pacers, they're ironically the ones I struggled with the most because I couldn't judge the pace. Because for the medium pacers, it was normally those who weren't great. So the variation in their pace would be huge. And in sort of school cricket and club cricket, you never know where the ball's going because most of the bowlers don't either. It's not just putting it on a pin like the pros do. And we've got an injury to Ruthven, which is a problem. So Ian Wardley will be on. At least it's position we've got a backup. But this is not the way we wanted to end the season, really. Green, can you stop with the puns, mate? Honestly, it's too much for me. And that's the thing. Practicing cricket, for me, there's not even an option to do that, which is the hard bit. And thank you, we've gone past double figures for likes now. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, come and join the club. But we're into double figures live in the stream, which is incredible. There's a full replay afterwards if you have missed any of the action. We've done football, cricket, food and FM in this one. Right, oh, and snooker. I've missed out snooker too. You never get done for pace. Left-hand spin bamboozle me every time. Well, Charlie, I'm not a left-hand spinner, but I'm a left-hand slow bowler, so I reckon I could get you. I've got no natural spin or variation, but I can often produce an unintentional wrong one if the pitch is deteriorating. That's the only thing I've got in my locker. We used to play it in college because there were a couple of cricketers there. And I'll tell you what, as soon as the pitch was spinning a bit, I wouldn't have a clue where it's going, but it would go all over the place, which is great. But otherwise, I'm just a slow left armer who bowls it straight flat with a slight variation in speed. We're into the second half here with Burnley, and we're doing all right, you know. We've been dominated on the stats, but we've done okay chances-wise, so I'll drop to balanced. We'll try and hold on for the point now. I do want to give Darnell Furlong his final appearance, so he will come on for Fabio. And then in midfield, we've got Vinicius struggling on the left. Marcus Vinicius, that is. So Carl Whitehouse, another one of those youngsters who just needs a few appearances. He'll come on. 25 minutes on the left wing. And we're playing out from the back with Summerskill. Dan, if you could be a pro in one other sport than football, what would it be? Tennis, definitely. So I said this all the way growing up. Tennis is the one sport where I felt, had it been financially affordable as a working class person, I had a small chance. And I appreciate the odds were still 1,000 to 1. But at 11 in Hillborough, I'm sure some of your former colleagues can tell you, I was very good for my age. It's the only sport I was ever very good at. I had a brilliant serve at 11. Unfortunately, it's never improved since. But I was the only one who could serve to start with. But at 11, I was serving probably about 95 to 105 miles an hour, depending on the spin variation, which surprised me before anyone else. And I could hit flat ground strokes. But unfortunately, when they said at the end of the year, would you like to join the local tennis club and we can get you involved in regional tournaments? That was all sounding brilliant. Then they listed the price. And it was that or having a house to live in. So, you know, unfortunately it wasn't to be. And that's part of the problem tennis has in the UK and why we don't have so many brilliant players. Because the working class were basically pushed out of it at that point. It was only via the school that you used to work out that gave us lessons for £150 a week. Otherwise, I never would have been able to do it. But I love tennis. Playing it, I'm good at it. It's one of my favourite sports to play. I absolutely love it. We're coming towards the end of our final game of the season, and I think we're going to hold on for a point. Spurs have got Ramsdale in goal. I must have missed that one. Tom G, did you get it in a rough? I wouldn't say it was the rough. I would argue it was a... I don't know if you've seen the pitches that we used to have that they used via Dunstable College. It was... Was it Tottenham Cricket Club? It might have been. It was basically overgrown. It was grassy. Let's say that. So you wouldn't know where the cracks were underneath it. And the whole pitch was rough. Yeah, I was decent at blocking the fast deliveries. We had one bowler at school, Tom and Greeny will tell you. He called Ishi. He was a lovely lad. But he was the only one out of everyone working there who could direct it and bowl it fast. Others who tried to bowl it fast would probably knock your head off, and they didn't as a result. But he was actually a good bowler, sorry. So he could put them in probably a good, I would say probably even at 12, 13, probably 60, 70 mile an hour. What you would give medium pace in international cricket or county cricket. He could do that. Tottenham are going all out. Do they need to win the title or something? Oh my word, we're stopping Spurs from winning the title. Tom, you're going to love us. Arsenal are going to win the title because if Tottenham win this, they're top on goal difference. So we have just given Arsenal their first... Oh no, we might not have. Oh, it's the outside of the post. We have just given Arsenal their first trophy in 5 years, and it is the Premier League title. Their first one since 2004. And it is because we have got a point at North London rivals Tottenham to stop them winning it. And I'm saying this, we haven't done it yet, and we're giving away the ball, all ends up. Lowry's got it again. Oh, is that going for a throw? It is. I tell you what, we've done Arsenal a massive favour there. Ishi, top goalkeeper too. Yeah, he was a good lad. Dombes cleaned up yesterday. Yeah, I like him. He's a good spinner. But I'd like to see Moeen Ali back in as well, once he's back in form. See, I'm the opposite to you, El Gaming. I'm exactly like I am in Cricket 19. On the offside, I am hopeless. Everything for me, left hand, and I suppose right arm over the wicket. They were always trying to go across the stump, so I'd play in the arc. So I'd always play, and left-handers generally do, I guess, don't they? You see, we were talking about last week, Matty Wade and Darcy Short. The same for Ben Stokes, they normally play in that arc. So we've drawn with Tottenham, which has given Arsenal the title. You're welcome. We've received 34 million. The board are delighted the team have qualified for the Europa League, but that hasn't been confirmed, has it? If that's not next to our name here, it's not. See, this is what happened with Dorkin in the last season. When I said we got the message at the end, but we actually got a formal message then. So we've got to see, when's the FA Cup final? If it's not too long, we'll stick along and go and see. So the FA Cup final is next Saturday, and the Europa League final is the Thursday after. So we're going to skip ahead and see those two, and then we'll leave it for the transfer window, and I'll come back at the start of next season. But we've got to see if we get into Europe to finish this off. Carl, good luck to Luton. I could do with Nathan coming down to meet the Stoke fans next season so we can give them a warm Stoke welcome back. Unfortunately, I can't quite sense from my message how much sarcasm's in that. But for a lot of fans, I know there wouldn't be sarcasm because you don't see the bits behind the scenes. I genuinely believe what he was trying to do at the club was right. And a few of the press conferences he's had with us have intimated that, about having a group that believes in what you're doing, about actually caring about the club. And I genuinely believe that's been a problem at Stoke for some of the older guard. So we've got our season review, but we can't judge it yet. Because who knows? End of next season, fight bravely against relegation. Okay, that's interesting. So are we saying that to the boys as well? I'm going to say I'd like you to stay up. Oh, we can talk about something differently as well. I'm really encouraged that you've taken an attempt to implement our style of play. Let's do that instead. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear. They've all come back to me in the end, but that is absolutely disastrous, basically. For the training camp, we will go to... Let's keep it local. We'll go to Germany. In fact, let's keep it even more local. We'll go to sunny Scotland. So we're just skipping ahead to the FA Cup final now. We're up to the highest number of views of the season, of the morning even. Jesus. Thank you very much for your support. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. We've got 60 million to spend if we can find under 18s. But it's a Youth Academy challenge. They have to become homegrown. Favourite tennis player of all time, Charlie Easy, Andy Roddick. Yeah, he's up there for me as well as a bowler. I used to love Leighton Hewitt growing up. Just because there was so much physically and technically that suggested he shouldn't have been a top player. But mentally, he was so elite. It was incredible. So elite. El Gaiman almost killed my brother with a bouncer. It was a hard ball and it wasn't one. Yeah, see, in year 7 and 8, we were only allowed the sort of slightly spongy ones. We only played once or twice with real cricket balls and we were guarded up and etc. So we're at FA Cup final day now. The first of 2 moments of truth. Andy Green, what on earth is that question? Absolutely no. We're not talking about that. We're not lowering the tone. We're talking football now. Arsenal fans, have you finally won something good after Arsene Wenger? To be fair, Arteta is going to be good. And the FA Cup is a massive trophy. If they win it this year, that's brilliant. They treated Wenger harshly for winning 3 and 4 years, but he should have left after that last one. I get why he wanted to try and win the Europa League, but the last one, oh no, no, no. Everton have won the FA Cup. Oh, we're going to get heartbreak, aren't we? So Everton have won the FA Cup, which means they are in the Europa League. So those 6 have qualified. So now for us, it's Europa League 2 or nothing. And the only way we qualify is if Chelsea lose to Tottenham in the Europa League final on Thursday. Oh, I didn't think Everton would actually beat United. This is awful. Flauhau, you can sell him because he's not homegrown and we need to make that happen this summer. The thing is, Wrexham will have a good year next year, I think. They'll be in the top half, definitely. Yes, come on Tottenham. I need everyone to cheer Tottenham on this week for the first time. I know we've just cost them the title, but hopefully that means they'll be more determined to win the Europa League. We can only cross our fingers anyway. It will be the last moment of the stream, and it could be the most disappointing moment of the season. The FA Cup's still my favourite trophy, so I'm devastated that United haven't taken it seriously there. And then, as we'll be rounding off just about 2 hours, we can all talk about exactly what we're going to have for lunch. And no, I don't know if I want to cook after this. We're all starving after that talk. Andrew Green, no, come on Chelsea. Come on, I know what you're like. We don't want Chelsea qualifying for Europe. We want them to drift away. We want someone to become a mid-table club because we're managing them in the alternate universe of this save and it makes us look better. So that means that the team here, the Chelsea that are going to be playing tomorrow, will still have the likes of Zenet Gross, the likes of Robson Ramos, Henrique Abdallah, Serrano, yeah. Oh, they had Kepa the year before as well. We just missed out on that joy. Jude Bellingham's there, obviously, a man who's been talked about this morning. I need Tottenham desperately. We can't finish 6th and fail to get into Europe, both in this save and with Dorkin. And we can't finish 2 years in a row in the top 7 in the Premier League and not get European football. But it's going to be the moment of truth. Please let Tottenham win. More than anything we've ever watched. The date has gone past, so when we come back, we will know. Let's have a look. I'm dreading it. We have qualified for the Europa League 2. We have got a formal message. So does that mean that the Europa League was won by Tottenham? It was. What a fantastic moment for us. We are into Europe in the second Europa League, which is a great chance for our youngsters to get football, a great chance for them to win some games and get used to it. Charlie Bacon Sandwich, I've got to go bigger. Cakes, yes, definitely. I've already got a jam donut for after. We got that in the bakery on the way back to go with the gingerbread man that I showed you on Twitter. Is Bolo Zenden in the team? What team are you on about? No sauce on a bacon sandwich. You monster. Brown sauce all the way. Yes, so European football will be here next season, which means the stream will be a little bit longer next year. We'll definitely have an extra episode or two. But we have qualified for the Europa League 2. And I say that lightly, and the reason I do is because we got that message with Dorking Wanderers for the Europa League, and then we ended up in nothing. But we have reached the end of May and the end of the season. We have completed a 6th place finish with Burnley, and we have qualified for the Europa League 2, our first ever time in Europe. We've got a massive summer ahead where we will be rotating all of the non-homegrown players out of the squad where possible and working towards a fully homegrown team. So that will be what happens off camera in the next week. I will be back next Tuesday, hopefully near to or at the start of the season. And we have got a massive occasion on our hands as we play for our first European season and have to try and keep the top 6 with a homegrown squad. No hard questions this week, which I appreciated for once, but I'm sure you'll have one back next week. Thank you everyone for coming along this morning. Thank you all for your support, especially as it was slightly longer than normal as well. Record number of likes live during the stream and plenty of people watching most part. If you haven't yet, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Thank you all for coming along this morning. And hopefully I'll see you same time next week where we'll have a lot of transfers to get through, a Premier League start to the season, and fingers crossed, a new debut in Europe as well. Thank you all for coming along. I'll see you next week.